Panic in Pedro Sanchez's Socialist Party that Zapatero's businessman friend Julio Martinez might pull an Aldama. Let's get started. Hello everyone and welcome to a new edition of Medidas Cautelares. And pay attention because the Socialist Party is in a panic. They're in panic mode. After the businessman and alleged frontman of the former Prime Minister, José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero, named Julio Martinez, you may have also heard him called Julito, he's now commonly known as Julito, has recruited the lawyer María Dolores Márquez de Prado as the new lawyer. She was the attorney in the Plus Ultra case. Pay close attention because the terror in the Socialist Party is coming from several fronts and we're going to analyze them in this video so you can't miss it. Stay until the end, and if you haven't done it yet, remember to subscribe to the Medidas Cautelares channel. We're already at almost 133,000 subscribers and we need to reach 150,000 soon. And we're already sharing this information on the screen because things are really heating up. Here you have an image of Pedro Sánchez, who's very close friends with José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero. They are two of a kind, the corrupt duo in Spain who should of course end up behind bars. And pay attention to the information I'm about to tell you. The hiring of lawyer María Dolores Márquez de Prado to defend the businessman and friend of former Prime Minister José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero, Julito Martinez, in the Plus Ultra case has caused panic within the ranks of Pedro Sánchez's PSOE. The head of the Central Court of Instruction No. 4 of the National Court, José Luis Calama, has placed the former Prime Minister José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero under formal investigation for criminal organization, influence peddling, and falsification. The investigation is looking into the alleged irregular use of part of the 53 million euros that the government granted to the airline Plus Ultra as a bailout during the pandemic. Specifically, it focuses on the influence that Zapatero could have exerted in that operation in exchange for receiving funds through his businessman friend Julio Martinez. Well, the former president himself is summoned to testify as a person under investigation next week on June 17 and 18. That is, we're talking about Wednesday and Thursday of next week. Well, according to what we've learned at Medidas Cautelares and Libertad Digital, the hiring of lawyer María Dolores Márquez de Prado has caused panic and great concern within the Socialist Party. From the Pedro to the businessman, the PSOE considers that Márquez de Prado is unpredictable and doesn't side with anyone. This prevents the defense of a key case in the Plus Ultra case, which implicates Zapatero and Pedro Sánchez himself, in other words, Julio Martinez, from being coordinated and controlled within the Socialist ranks. They can't control the defense of Julio Martinez because that's what they intended. And they can't control the defense of Julio Martinez because that's what they intended. And why do I say this? Because I'll also tell you that Julio Martinez in the panic erupted for businessman Luis Rodríguez Zapatero, Julito Caso Plus, María Dolores Márquez, former President Rodríguez Zapatero, Julito, owner of El Rosal, and the PSOE. He had planned to appoint him as national lawyer, Rodríguez Zapatero, Martinez. The government panicked about the lawyer, businessman, former President Márquez businessman, and Luis Rodríguez as Minister of Justice during Zapatero's government, Francisco Camaño. Zapatero himself continues to maintain a relationship with the owner, Judge Rodríguez, indicted. That is, they wanted to appoint a friend and former minister of Zapatero, in this case the Minister of Justice, Francisco Camaño, to defend Julio Martinez. And in this impasse, well, look at that. Julio Martinez has decided to hire María Dolores Márquez de Prado, which is why they are furious, they're really upset. The same sources consulted point out that the PSOE's fear is growing at the possibility that Márquez de Prado will side with Julio Martinez. To follow the path of cooperation with justice that the businessman involved in the scheme, Coldo Victor de Aldama has started together with his lawyer, José Antonio Choclán. In other words, he could perfectly do an Aldama, Julio Martinez, Julito. Sources close to the defense of Julio Martinez consulted by Medidas Cautelares state that Márquez de Prado is currently studying the Plus Ultra case in depth. The defense strategy has not yet been decided. Defense for Julio Martinez, and when it comes time to make a decision, Zapatero's testimony before Judge Calama next week as a person under formal investigation will be key. If Zapatero chooses to point to Julio Martinez as responsible for all the alleged criminal acts, that is what is colloquially called passing the buck to him, It is not ruled out that the businessman, and until now friend of the former president of the government, might consider following the same path as Aldama. That is, the statement as a suspect by the former president of the government, José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero, will be extremely important when deciding on Julio Martínez's defense strategy. Here you have an image of Julio Martínez, known as Julito. I believe this is during the Senate investigation committee in which he was summoned. We recall that Zapatero is being defended in this plus ultra case by lawyer Victor Moreno Catena, a prestigious professor of procedural law with less experience in the criminal field. Moreno Catena has a historical and professional connection with the PSOE, although he is not known to have recent official membership or party positions. Between 1988 and 1993, during the governments of Felipe González, he held high positions in the Ministry of the Interior. In addition, he has defended several defendants in the ARI case of Andalusia, such as the former Minister of Finance, Carmen Martínez Aguayo. In other words, what we're saying here is that what the Socialist Party intended was to keep the Plus Ultra case under control, which not only implicates Zapatero, but also the president of the government, Pedro Sánchez. We remember that Aldama already revealed in an interview that out of the 53 million euro bailout that the airline received, 10 million euros were diverted as an illegal commission through Panama for Zapatero and for Sánchez. And what about the PSOE? What they were planning was to control Julito, to control Julio Martínez, so that he would work together with Victor Moreno. Catena, with Zapatero's lawyer appointing Francisco Camaño, the former Socialist Minister of Justice under Zapatero, as his lawyer, and that way they were going to be able to control the damage. However, now, after Julio Martínez decided to hire and sign María Dolores Márquez de Prado, Julito becomes an uncontrollable asset for the Socialist Party, and therefore a danger to Pedro Sánchez's and Zapatero's Socialist Party. Let's remember who María Dolores Márquez de Prado is, a renowned criminal lawyer. With a law degree from the Complutense University of Madrid, María Dolores Márquez de Prado first entered the judiciary through a competitive exam and later the prosecution service. After serving as a prosecutor at the Provincial Court Prosecutor's Office of Guipúzcoa, her second assignment was the National Court Prosecutor's Office, where she remained for more than 17 years. She was part of the so-called group of the Indomitable, that is, those prosecutors who pursued ETA terrorism with determination and courage during the so-called years of lead. In 1999, she was appointed prosecutor of the Supreme Court, a position she held until 2007. That year, she requested voluntary leave to dedicate herself to practicing law. And here you have an image of María Dolores Márquez de Prado with her lawyer, with her husband, Javier Gómez de Liaño, who also works as a lawyer and was also a judge at the National Court. Specifically, after leaving the prosecutor's office, María Dolores Márquez de Prado founded, together with her husband Javier Gómez de Liaño, the law firm Gómez de Liaño y Márquez de Prado Abogados, specializing in economic criminal law. As a criminal lawyer, she has previously taken on the defense of Rosalia Iglesias, wife of the former PP treasurer Luis Bárcenas, in the Major Gürtel case, while her husband defended Bárcenas himself. She has also defended other defendants in the Villarejo case and the actor Imanol Arias in the Numaria case. And this is the information we reveal in precautionary measures. Panic has broken out in Pedro Sánchez's Socialist Party after the businessman and alleged frontman for José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero, Julio Martínez, known as Julito, decided to hire María Dolores Márquez de Prado as his lawyer. She is a prosecutor at the National Court and the Supreme Court. The PSOE wanted to appoint Julito's lawyer as Francisco Camaño, the former Socialist Justice Minister under Zapatero. All of this was aimed at controlling Julito in the context of the Plus Ultra case and preventing any collateral damage. Zapatero's lawyer, Victor Moreno Catena, would have teamed up with Julito Martínez's lawyer, Francisco Camaño. In short, a tandem with Francisco Camaño. However, since this businessman has decided to hire María Dolores Márquez de Prado, the judicial strategy of Pedro Sánchez's PSOE party to limit collateral damage has blown up. We will be paying close attention to the upcoming statement from the former Prime Minister José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero, which will take place next week on Wednesday, June 18th. But just look at everything we have ahead of us in the coming days. We expect to learn about the part of the CEPI plot summary which is still under secrecy, and that Pedras will lift the secrecy on that part of the summary that affects the rigging, awards, and contracts most directly related to CEPI. On the other hand, the Supreme Court's ruling on the Coldo plot is also about to be released, which could happen this week or next. Next Monday, a hearing with Begonia Gomez before the Madrid Provincial Court decides on the trial against the wife of the Prime Minister. And at the same time, those statements by José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero, for which he has been summoned next Wednesday and Thursday by the judge of the National Court, José Luis Calama. I've been saying this for many weeks now. The season finale is going to be brutal, it's going to be explosive, it's going to be tremendous, and you can't miss it here. On precautionary measures, that's it for this edition of precautionary measures. I hope you liked the video, that you enjoyed it. I know you can't really enjoy corruption. I'm not saying you have to enjoy it, but I hope you like our videos with the best information, always here on precautionary measures. You can join as a member for under €3 a month, or as a Supreme member for under €7 a month. Contributions can also be made via Vision at 627-556370, 627,556,370, 627,556,370. Thank you very much for your attention, for your support, and for making it to the end of the video. The most important thing, as I always say, is making sure everyone gets this information, because information is power. See you soon.